पीछे रहा मिलेंगे eso solo
Single.
solo आपका Rana sir
Rana sir.
Thank you, Rana. Next, I would like to call upon stage the co-founder of Broadway. He's been instrumental in building this idea and building it along with the team here. Please welcome on stage Vivek Biani. Multiple Funds, Executive Director of Salarpuria Group. Please welcome on stage Mr. Apurva Salarpuria. Apurva has been instrumental in shaping up the D2C industry, invested in brands like Epigamia, Bira, M Caffeine, and a lot more. And next, I would like to call upon stage someone who's been instrumental in shaping up retail in India. Please welcome on stage Mr. Anuj Kejriwal, MD and CEO, Anirok Retail. Anirok being the largest retail advisory firm in the country. So guys, I would leave the dais now to the four of them to talk about what Broadway is, and I would let Rana begin the show. You can use the mic, actually. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Try to stay more corporate in this world than what I normally do. Okay, we're just mics to height. Hi guys, thank you for coming. I'm actually thrilled to announce Broadway today. It's really a groundbreaking enterprise at really the cutting edge of media, markets, retail in any form. At Broadway, we're trying to master the art of blending the traditional forms and the digital platforms to deliver a real and a unique, immersive experience for the consumers and brands. We're starting our operations in the roots of the vibrant cities of Delhi, Hyderabad, and Mumbai, and where we promise to create content, engage customers, and really build a meaningful relationship across all of them. Broadway is more than a marketplace. It's really a dynamic environment where media and commerce interact. We offer some seamless integrations of content and commerce, supported by a calendar full of exciting events and collaborations. Whether it's live workshops to exclusive product launches, Broadway will really be the hub for everything that's cool and innovative. We're here to empower the creators and brands through the state-of-the-art Broadway studios, where everything that we've learned over our time in telling stories, we're going to support the brands and the creators do that. And at Broadway, there's always something going on. It'll be the most exciting social, shopping, retail space for this new generation. So thank you for coming here and wish us luck on this new dynamic journey at Broadway. Thank you.
Rana, as you were introducing Broadway, a couple of things which I heard over and over again were commerce and media, online and offline. So will you tell us a little bit about how, Broadway is integrating traditional as well as digital media platforms?
So I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to just take the liberty of starting this as a story. The invention of shopping malls and all of that happened somewhere in the 1800s, but there's been no reinvention maybe in the last 100 years. Whether you see the first mall that was ever built in England and you see them today, it's pretty much the exact same thing, the exact same offering. But as consumers, we've changed very dramatically. We want to know what we wear. We want to know what we use. We want to understand the ethic of the brand and how it's built. And very rarely do you find this available. A brand never, or the founder never gets to speak to the consumer directly in this form. And we thought at Broadway that's the best blend that we can do, where in the last 5-6 years there's been a great emergence of D2C brands that have come with very, very interesting storytelling, but it only restricts them to digital platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, in that world. And there's nothing superior to touch and feel and really understanding where things come from. So I think that's really the blend that we want to bring in at Broadway. So Mr. Vivek, question for you, sir. How does Broadway's marketplace cater to the needs of the 21st century consumer?
Rana, I think the starting point, I think as we all have been kind of imagining Broadway together, was that 45% of India is in some sense born in this century. And for this India, or even more, I think they're all digital natives. They're born in a world where social media is their platform, where they consume news, entertainment, brand discovery. It's a place where their shopping preferences are being shaped and newer influences are emerging from that. I think a lot of digital first brands, D2C brands have been born in that era, in that environment with consumers. But I think as you rightly kind of pointed out that, every time, let's say these brands have to kind of engage with consumers in physical retail forms. If they have to engage, these brands have to tell their stories in a physical environment, what that potentially would look like. So I think this is a generation, whose attention span is 15 seconds, 20 seconds. It is a generation whose needs are micro segmented, and therefore so many brands have been kind of building solutions for this generation. This is a generation in some sense also which doesn't want to consume what the previous generation consumed. So I think Broadway in some sense is giving life to some of these trends, where we want to create a space for a curated set of brands, brands that are really, have a great narrative, great story of why they exist in these consumers' lives. It's a space where this storytelling will take place through all the experiences that you mentioned with respect to events happening, so on and so forth. So we believe that Broadway should be a place where this generation hangs out. It's a space where this generation is participating in many things happening at Broadway. And if you're able to do that, I think this generation needs destinations to be created for them to come out of their homes, spend time, meet people, and I think they blend a lot of these experiences along with shopping. So I think that's how we believe maybe malls and shopping centers should also evolve in some sense. Something for you, Apurva. See, I think there is, in some sense, we're saying that Broadway is this new imagination of how retail should be. And it should not really be only about retail in some sense, right? And there are many elements apart from the act of retailing that will take place to engage consumers. So could you share a little bit about what events, what all will Broadway entail to kind of drive this experience for consumers?
Sure. You spoke a little bit, Vivek, about what the consumer is looking for in the current day and age, and why there should be events in the first place. Let me try and again kind of weave a little bit of a story from the brand kind of side today. And today brands, or the kind of brands that we are engaging with at Broadway, which are new innovative brands, including D2C brands, are engaging with their customers online, which allows them to reach their customer quickly. But as they grow their businesses and they come into the offline world, there is an opportunity for experiences beyond what is possible digitally, as well as they need a connect offline. They are no longer able to speak to the consumer offline if they are just lying on a shelf in a departmental store somewhere. And hence the various events that we are doing kind of allow for the brands to engage with customers in different ways. So even the events consequently are of different types, different nature, depending on what fits best into each category and even each brand. It's a very collaborative approach kind of. So it could, for some brands, mean a fashion show, where we have a stage within Broadway, as you're probably aware. It could be for somebody a grooming session, because there are consultation rooms built in. For another brand, it could be sampling. It could be, a founder telling their story through a founder connect, because, a lot of our consumers want to engage with a particular type of brand which, has a particular story. There is, particular kind of founders which you relate to, and so on and so forth. It could be, seminars, or, in terms of educating people about benefits of a particular ingredient, particular brand, etc. So, honestly, there is an entire machinery which we are building, an entire IP called Broadway Studios, which will cater to brands, enable them to do this. But I think it's a huge array of events that we are able to kind of put together.
It's interesting this to Rana to answer this, that, really, how is Broadway looking to support content creators and brands?
So I think Apurva just mentioned Broadway Studios towards the end of what he was saying. So the real idea is to give, over time, extreme cutting-edge experiences for brands and creators. What we have a content studio inside of Broadway that helps you with, whether it's extreme quality graphics, extreme editing, whether it's being able to communicate that right. You also have a test audience that you can keep bringing it out to. And it's very difficult sometimes to set the story and the vision to reach that to the final customer. And at Broadway, it's really like that ecosystem of things where there's a brand, there's a consumer, there's an influencer, and maybe an investor in some form, and all of them make this one little economy for themselves. So that's really the idea, and everything that we've learned over the past is getting disrupted in the way content is being created, and making sure whether it's AI that's being able to support these creators, whether it's technology or infrastructure that's needed, all of that will be at Broadway. Next one, let's go. Vivek, you were speaking about plug and play on brands a little while ago. So what is the convenience and what is this plug and play model at Broadway?
Yep. So I think, we had mentioned that at the end of the day, Broadway will have a curated set of brands. And, that curation really goes from what we've been talking about, that, they need to have a very strong narrative storytelling aspect about themselves. What we also realize is that a lot of these brands are in some sense born digitally. So what Broadway will do is really create all the capability that is needed to enable these brands to engage with consumers in physical retail experiences. Now that could potentially mean that how easy can we make it for the brand to participate in the physical retail channel, right from saying that, the brand can pretty much just come with their merchandise and everything else with respect to designing the entire space, building the brand experience, doing all the capital expenditure, getting the right kind of manpower deployed, training them, and all the kind of processes that goes along with running a retail kind of store is what Broadway provides to this brand. So I think that's the way in which we want to kind of build this model, where, in some sense, how co-working spaces disrupted office environment, where, the likes of WeWorks, etc. came in and make it extremely easy for young companies to kind of participate in premium quality office spaces. Broadway aims to do that to some extent for retail, that how can we really make it extremely easy for brands to come participate in the physical retail channel, get them access to these consumers, get them to do all the experiences, events, build all the content, so on and so forth. So I think Broadway will have that execution capability available, where brands can come and participate and not only reach consumers, not only get an array of creators, influencers who they can partner with, create all the content that is needed and acquire a new set of consumers from here.